Hear that?
Hear what?
It's finally quiet in here.
Okay, let's do it. You're now tuned in to San Quentin's Ear Hustle from Radiotopia.
The following podcast contains language that may not be appropriate for all listeners.
I love animals, oh yeah. Since I've been in prison, I've had black widows, tarantulas, a lot of grasshoppers, beetles.
At San Quentin, inmates aren't allowed to have pets, but some guys get creative, like Rauch here.
Gophers, rabbits. I had 4 swallows, a toad, praying mantis, 21 snails, frog, a red-breasted finch whose arm broke, pigeons. I had a desert mole that was partially paralyzed, teddy bear hamster, just really lazy with an attitude, the centipede, and it was a wolf. It was a bad little monster. I had 2 fish that had babies twice. I had a tarantula broke out one time, and my cellie said, "Yo, spider got out."
I'm Erlon Woods.
Erlon is serving a 31-year-to-life sentence for attempted second-degree robbery, and he's the co-host and co-producer of Ear Hustle.
And that's Naja Poor. She's a visual artist and works with incarcerated men here at San Quentin. And she's a co-producer and my co-host. And together, we're going to take you inside.
I've been coming to San Quentin as a volunteer for about 6 years now. And when I get here, my routine is always the same. I park my car, I go through a few checkpoints and gates, and once I'm inside the prison, I check in with a few of the correctional officers that I know, and then I make my way down to the media lab. And to get to the media lab, I have to pass through the yard. When I walk down into the yard, the first thing that I notice is that there's hundreds of guys hanging out in different areas. There's some guys playing basketball, there's other guys playing tennis, and there's guys hanging out in small groups, maybe talking and playing dominoes. And it's a really strangely friendly atmosphere. In some ways, it seems more like a village because everyone you walk by is really friendly. They make eye contact, they ask how you're doing, they say hello. And I'm wondering, do you have the same experience?
Yeah, this is pretty much a very friendly environment. I mean, from the volunteers to the prisoners to the staff, individuals know how to communicate with each other. And I think by them being able to express themselves, it makes this place like a cool place. But I really think San Quentin is the perfect soil for rehabilitation for real, though. I mean, you have people coming in here saying that they feel safer in here than they do in society.
Yeah, I've heard that actually. Well, one of the things I've noticed is that there are all these different areas. And so, Erlon, I've just discovered this new area called Hippie Row.
Right.
And there's nothing distinctive about it. It's just a paved part of the yard. But it's called Hippie Row because that's where you're going to find Rauch. And the funny thing about him is that he's always sitting on the ground without shoes.
When I see Rauch, he be sitting Indian style, drawing something, and in the process of him drawing, he be having these extra pencils in between his toes, like his reds, his blues, his greens, and he'll have them there and they're like pencil holders.
Yeah, it's like his desk organizer.
Yeah, indeed.
So how would you describe him?
To me, I think Rauch looked like the original Jesus Christ. You know? I mean, he got the dreadlocks. He look like he's from the earth. And if he could, he'd probably just be wearing a leaf. And he got this one little thing that he do. He'll just start sniffing on his dreadlocks.
I know, I've seen him do that. He grabs his hair and he pulls it in front of his nose and just sniffs.
Why are you whispering?
Because I feel like I'm talking about him behind his back. He knows he does it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like he's going to hear this and go, oh my God, I sniffed my hair?
Hey, he'll catch himself and you just be looking at him, he's like,
FYI, I do smell my dreads. I put different oil on each one of them. They smell good. They smell like I just came out the dirt, hanging out with roots and stuff.
But you know what though? When people from the outside look at Rauch, they be like, oh, dude weird, man, I ain't talking to dude. But Rauch is a cool dude.
My name is Ronell Draper, but I go by Rauch. My relationship with people is pretty strained. I don't trust them. From early on, they have been a source of pain for me.
So Rauch is about 40 years old, and he's a pretty shy guy.
Until you know him.
When I was a child, before I was removed from the care of my mom's custody, she tried to drown me a couple times in the tub. And then she stopped and she left the bathroom and she was crying. I knew she was unhappy or sad at something I did. I wanted to actually comfort her, but I didn't know how to do it. I don't remember her face, and I haven't seen her since.
Rauch said he was 6 or 7 years old before he had his first real connection with a person.
And that was with Sister Maria. She had something about her that I really enjoyed being around. She seemed to care in a different way than I was used to people caring. Because up until that point, I had been into different homes, hospitals, and now I was in an orphanage.
Rauch was in the St. Vincent Orphanage in South Philly. It was when he was there that he had his first memorable encounter with the animal kingdom.
I remember one time when I was at the orphanage, I wasn't there long, and Sister Maria took me and several other kids to Atlantic City Beach in Boardwalk. The day was overcast, and we were the only people out there. But it was a trillion birds out there. It was a lot of birds, seagulls. And I got a clam. And she said, go and give it to him.
Ronell, you can feed the birds. Feed the birds. It's okay.
But I was scared of them because they were aggressive. Super aggressive. When they seen that, the clam, they just like 1,000 of them came and said, yeah, we need that. And it was frightening. It was frightening. So I threw it and ran behind her. She was my protection.
Rauch didn't stay afraid of birds or any other animals. At 10 years old, he left the orphanage and he moved into a group home in Philadelphia, where they didn't seem to mind his love of animals.
I used to bring home everything, lizards, snakes, kittens from down the street, and bringing pigeons home. Dogs, it was bad because they didn't know where to come after a while, and I'd come home from school and there would be a bunch of cats or dogs. The pigeon didn't last long because I think the cat ate it, but I didn't know too much then. I wanted all the animals to be my companion and friend. I do not call animals pets. I call them critters. I hang out with these guys or girls. They're friends. I don't own them.
Rauch actually spells his name R-O-A-C-H. No, wait a minute. That's how you spell Rauch, right?
That's how you spell Rauch, yeah.
Okay. Rauch spells his name R-A-U-C-H.
Is his name Rauch because of the critter, or was he just...
Okay, I was talking to him one time off mic, and the thing about his name is, when he was a teenager, he was homeless. And he lived in different people's homes in the rafters, like secretly in people's houses. And he felt like a roach. He was hiding behind the scenes, and his friends knew that he was there, but the parents wouldn't necessarily know that he was. And that's how he got his name. But he changed the spelling of his name because people thought it was insulting to call him a roach.
Damn, that's cold.
Yep.
Everybody don't grow up the same.
I got into crime for survival, and I was hurting. And I thought it was a way to get back at people. This was the way to make them feel the pain that I felt. Then it slowly became just a part of what I did. I'm incarcerated for second-degree murder. We got in a fight with someone, and I ended up killing him.
This is probably a good time for us to say that we are not investigative journalists.
No, we're not.
We invite people to tell us their stories, and there's really only so much fact-checking we can do.
Right. But what we do know is that Rauch got a sentence of 15 years to life. And the other thing we know about Rauch is that when he got to prison, he managed to make animals a big part of his life.
I like animals because I communicate with them better than I can with people. The first critter I had in prison was a moth. And I only had it for a day because I had a cellie who came back and killed it when I went to the yard and left it on the floor. Sometimes I believe I can see or understand or know what an animal is thinking, how it's feeling, when it's depressed, when it's unhappy, even when I watch it on TV. I had a frog once who was not cool. Everywhere I moved in the cell, it would move somewhere to watch me. He constantly would keep his eye on me. I would move over here and get out of view. He would come up and look at me. I think he was letting me know that, you know what, you go to sleep, I'm gonna pee on you, dude. So I ended up letting it go. I used to have a pet black widow, and I used to feed it insects. I'd be out in the yard being pimped by a spider, and then I'd come in with bugs, bees, crickets, and I'd put them in a container, and nature take its course, or the bees will run around up in there, fly around in there for not long, and then they get caught in the web, and then she would spray them with a webbing, and then wrap them up, and then eat them. It was action, it was theater, comedy. It was really good, better than watching TV. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know how she was gonna do what she was gonna do. One time I had 4 swallows at once, and they ended up dying. That year, I think I lost maybe 10. Along the building, they would always fall down, and people would come get me. Hey, got some more. And so I had to smuggle them into the building. And then they would look really strong. They would even look like they were doing well, but I would leave and come back, and 1 will be down, 2 will be down. I found out they ended up dying because they needed to be touched and to feel a connection with with the parent. So when I have to take care of another baby swallow, it will happen again. I will keep it in my shirt pocket on my person so it can hear my heartbeat and my voice and feel connected or nurture. I take care of animals because they teach me what I can't learn from people. It's unconditional affection or appreciation. Unconditional love is here. No, it's yours, no, nothing, no, it's all you.
Having pets in prison is considered contraband, but it seems to me that some of the correctional officers ignore the tiny critters that Rauch keeps. But there's this one group called the Squad. I've had some interaction with them, and they're pretty intimidating.
Hell yeah. We call them the Jump Out Boys, the Alphabets, the Black Patches.
The alphabet?
Yeah, it's like the ATF, the FBI, they the ISU, which is the Investigative Services Unit. But when they do come, they come for business. They're not just bothering you to bother you. They come in because somebody sent them to you.
One time I did have an experience with them, and I will say that before they actually show up, something changes in the air. It's like everyone has this sixth sense about it, and then all of a sudden the door opens and you see these guys come in and you're like, that's why the temperature changed in the room.
One time the Squad came to the cell and they were searching for contraband, but they found the desert bowl instead. And they said as long as I was taking care of it, that they weren't going to trip on me keeping it. It was cool.
This time for Rauch, the Squad wasn't tripping. But sometimes prison officials aren't so accommodating.
I recently have lost 21 snails. They threw it in the trash. So it depends on the officer. Some don't mind, others see it as a health violation. Now, if I'm in a cell and a mouse wanders in there and says, I'm going to hang out here, it's cool. I'd be willing to take care of it, hang out with it, chill with it. I wouldn't chase them out. I let them stay as long as they want it and be my friend.
I know you're not really supposed to have pets in prison, but Rauch found kind of a way around it. In reality, you really can't have regular pets like dogs and cats and, bunny rabbits?
No, you can't. You can't have pets in prison. But there are some special projects in San Quentin where guys do train service animals.
I definitely hear stories about animals in prison. Do you hear guys talking about it? Okay, so one time this guy told me that he was in, let's say it was high desert, in the middle of nowhere, and he was there for 10 years, and he hadn't really seen much nature, and he hadn't heard any animals, and then one day he heard a dog barking, And he was so overwhelmed by it.
Bullshit.
Why do you say bullshit? Come on, it's such a sensitive story. Why is that bullshit?
In his 10 years in High Desert is a state prison, he never heard a dog.
Nope, he never heard a dog. He kind of even forgot that such things existed.
Well, first off, I'm thinking of, I can watch TV and see dogs. Different sized dogs from a Chihuahua all the way up. Second, ISU, which is the squad we've been talking about, they have dogs. So their dogs is going to walk through the institution, through the buildings, and they going to bark.
All right, getting back to Rauch's story. He has such a powerful urge to take care of critters, to nurture really. And we all have that urge, one way or another. Whether it's having kids or taking care of pets, maybe it's even working with young people. And we wanted to find out what other guys inside do to nurture.
Except most guys aren't going to call it nurturing. They're going to say looking out. We went around with our microphone for some yard talk on the subject.
It ain't worth it, no, it ain't worth it. Tell me, was it worth it? One thing for certain, this game is so confusing, but a young nigga still learning.
Well, my friends in here, like, they come in, you feel me? Like, sometimes it may need, like, some hygiene or some food, and, it feels good to be able to actually help out my people.
I done came a long way, staying in my own lane, yeah.
I kind of see it kind of difficult because there's not really too many things to nurture.
When I used to have more free time, I've kept lizards. That's how I, satisfied that need. Like taking care of something, that give you a little satisfaction too, right?
Thinking how the game is so wrong and this new shit, I swear it's getting old. It ain't working. It ain't working.
How'd you feed
No,
it?
it ain't working.
Come on, catch flies, like spend hours every day, catch flies. Especially in the winter, there's no flies around, it was a hassle to catch flies. But catching flies is kind of like meditation too. You're in your own zone, and with all these buzzing around, you're focusing on one fly and trying to, how to approach it to catch it. It's kind of like, it's really soothing.
Think about my niggas in the grave, BIP, Lil Reg, at least you in a better place, man. Think about my young nigga gone, Rail Nation. Damn, I wish heaven had a phone. Forever I'm keeping their name alive. Yeah, the real niggas die, but only the strong surviving.
That was feeding the geese and like helping them with they had babies and stuff. We just checking on them, pretending like I'm helping them and giving them advice and feeding them where they should teach them where to learn to fly and all that stuff, and you should go over there and hide from the people and all that. But I enjoyed the parents raising their children, corny as that is, getting nurturing vicariously. It felt good to be able to see that, because I've been away from that kind of stuff for so long. So
Thinking when I'm sitting in the cell, I ain't never been to heaven, but I know I've been to hell, man. Thinking how it all went wrong. We was all getting money, but jealousy fucked it off, man. What happened to keeping the circle strong?
The guy singing there is Jovan Mills, known on the yard as Scoob Stacks. He just happened to be beating on the table and singing while we were out recording our yard talk.
I made it fall in love, but I don't want to get too explicit. I don't want to be disrespectful towards you, that's why.
So taking care of friends, lizards, geese. E, what's your workaround? What do you look out for?
For me, it's my god kids, I like to nurture them from here, like through letters, through phone calls. That's my nurturing, is just to stay in contact with them and try my best to raise them from here.
So do they actually come to you for advice?
If I end up calling my goddaughter, she'd be like, man, I've been waiting on you to call me. And and we just go there, because I always be like, hey, we only got 15 minutes for this, right?
That is definitely a story for another
15 minutes.
podcast. Yeah, the 15-minute phone call. Well, I know in prison there's a lot of deprivation, so it's really cool that you can keep the connection so strong with them.
That's very important to me,
Well, I know we're talking about deprivation, but there are two things that can never be taken away from you in prison, and that's your fantasies and your memories. So I've got a question for you. Since we've been talking about animals, I'm curious, if you could be an animal, what would you be?
Beluga whale.
What? Wow.
There's no rhyme or reason for it, but it just sounded cool. But we did go to the yard and ask some guys what type of animals would they be.
If I could be any animal, I'd be a penguin. They're super cute in tuxedos, and they're like the coolest animals ever. And they slapbox like crazy too.
I would want to be a panther, and the reason why is I like the sleekness of the animal.
Dog, because I know that someone would adopt me.
Yeah, Galapagos turtle, because they live to be over 150 years old.
Lion, because it's king.
Marmot, because they're misunderstood. Everybody thinks they're weasels. And they're not. They're marmots.
I want to be a water buffalo because it's diligent and because it says very little.
It would be an eagle because they can fly. So that means I would always be free. I would always be safe.
Tiger, because tigers love their independence.
A jellyfish, because it has no natural enemies.
I asked Rauch what kind of animal he'd want to be, and his answer is pure Rauch.
I want to hear that.
If I could be an animal, any animal, it would be a wish dragon that would only appear when a kid needed it, because my experience with imaginary friends, they were needed. So the thing about being a dragon is they eat meat, and I couldn't do that. So I'd have to be a vegetarian dragon, a thin vegetarian dragon, because I would spend a lot of time looking for food. That's a lot of carrots, that's a lot of apples, oranges, that's just a lot of vegetables. Who's gonna grow those vegetables for a giant dragon? Unless I'm a baby, a tiny dragon, then I just eat a little slice of cheese. I didn't think about that.
Thanks to Ronell Draper, aka Rauch, for telling his story and keeping the critters fed. Our sound designer is my fellow prisoner, Antwan Williams.
Pat Mesiti-Miller is our outside production advisor. Our story editor is Curtis Fox, and our executive producer from Radiotopia is Julie Shapiro.
We also want to thank Warden Ron Davis, and every episode has to be approved by this guy here.
I am Lieutenant Sam Robinson at San Quentin State Prison. You know, I've heard a lot of stories inside this prison, and there have been some that I've really, really liked. There have been some that have been okay, and then there's Pets in Prison, which is on the opposite end. And I approve this story.
The opposite end?
Sound like he didn't like this one.
Nope.
Maybe he would like the next one. Next time on Ear Hustle, what's it like to spend years in the security housing unit, aka the SHU?
Being in the SHU for so long, it will affect you in many ways, you know, from not being able to finish a sentence to forgetting what you're talking about during a sentence.
Ear Hustle is a proud member of Radiotopia from PRX, a collection of the best podcasts around. Radiotopia is made possible with support from the Knight Foundation. Hear more at radiotopia.fm.
Big thanks to those of you who have sent us postcards with questions for us about prison life. We hope to put together a mini episode of Ear Hustle to answer as many as we can, so keep the postcards coming from around the world.
Yeah, we've gotten them from England, Scotland, Australia, Canada. Ooh-wee. Yeah, keep them coming. You can find the address on our website, earhustlesq.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter. I'm Nigel Poor.
And I'm Earlonne Woods. Thanks for ear hustling with us.
Radiotopia.